The army mess hall was usually the one place where the edge of the day softened. After hours of shouting on the drill ground, boots pounding in unison, lungs burning under the sun, the recruits finally allowed their shoulders to drop a fraction. The long room glowed under harsh white tube lights. Stainless steel tables stretched in perfect rows, their surfaces scratched and polished by years of use. The air carried the mixed smells of lentils, steamed rice, oil, detergent, and sweat. Trays clattered, spoons scraped, and low tired voices blended into a constant hum. Aisha walked in with her platoon, back straight, eyes forward, though every muscle in her body ached. Her uniform was clean, pressed sharply along the seams, boots shining despite the dust of the training ground. She had learned quickly that appearance was the first shield. In a place where weakness was hunted, even a loose thread could become a target. They lined up, collected their food, and moved to their assigned table. Aisha placed her tray down carefully: rice, curry, a piece of bread, a small bowl of yogurt, a steel tumbler of water. She sat, keeping her posture textbook perfect, hands resting briefly on her thighs before reaching for her spoon. Around her, the others began to eat with the quiet urgency of people who knew they had limited time before the next command. She had just lifted her first spoonful when a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Cadet Aisha." The sound was like a crack of a rifle shot. Conversations died instantly. The clinking of cutlery froze mid-air. Her name echoed in the vast room, bouncing off the tiled walls. "Yes, Sergeant." Her response came automatically as she shot to her feet, chair legs screeching softly against the floor. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She kept her eyes straight ahead, chin level, as she had been taught, though she could feel dozens of gazes burning into her from all directions. The sergeant stood at the far end of the hall, a tall, broad man with a square jaw and a permanently furrowed brow. His uniform looked as if it had been carved onto his body. Every crease was sharp, every button aligned. He began to walk toward her, slow and deliberate, boots striking the tiles in a steady, intimidating rhythm. With each step, the space around Aisha seemed to shrink. "What is this?" he demanded, stopping at her table and gesturing sharply at her tray. "Sir, dinner, sir," she replied, voice firm, though her throat felt dry. "Dinner?" He picked up her steel tumbler and tilted it slightly. A thin line of water ran down the side and dripped onto the table. "You call this neat? You call this order?" Water on the rim, bread not aligned, spoon placed carelessly. "Is this a marketplace stall or a military mess?" Her cheeks burned. She could hear the blood rushing in her ears. She wanted to explain that the line had been long, that someone had bumped her elbow, that she had been careful. But explanations were forbidden unless asked for. Silence was safer. "Look at you," he continued, his voice rising. "Standing there like a statue, but inside, sloppy. You think pressing a uniform is enough? Discipline is in the smallest details. In how you hold your tray. In how you sit. In how you breathe." He leaned closer, invading her space. She could smell the faint scent of tobacco and polish on his uniform. "Your shoulders are tense. Your stance is uneven. Weight on the left foot. You think I don't see that?" "No, sir," she said. "You think the enemy will miss such things?" His eyes swept over her from head to toe. "You think they will care that you are tired, or new, or different?" A few recruits shifted uncomfortably. Someone swallowed loudly. A faint, nervous chuckle escaped from one corner of the room before dying immediately. The sergeant straightened and spoke even louder, ensuring the entire hall could hear. "This is what happens when you let comfort make you careless. You start believing you deserve peace before you have earned it." He tapped the table sharply with his knuckle. "Sit." She sat at once, back straight, hands flat on her thighs. Her tray had been slightly pushed aside. The food she had waited for all evening now sat untouched, cooling. Do not touch your meal, he ordered. Not until I say so. Yes, sir. He turned to face the rest of the hall. Let this be a lesson. You are not here to relax. You are here to be shaped. And shaping is not gentle. For a moment, no one moved. Then he nodded once, sharply. Carry on. The sound slowly returned, spoons against steel, low murmurs, the rustle of uniforms. But the atmosphere had changed. The comfort that usually lived in the mess hall had vanished, replaced by a tight, watchful silence. Aisha remained seated, eyes fixed on a point on the table, breathing slow and controlled. Her hands trembled slightly, but she curled her fingers into her palms to still them. She could feel heat behind her eyes, the threatening sting of tears, but she refused to let them fall. Crying here would only confirm whatever weakness the sergeant believed he had seen. She thought of her training, of the long runs before dawn, of the blisters on her feet, of the way she had forced herself to keep pace even when her lungs screamed. She had not come this far to be reduced to a spectacle over a spilled drop of water. Around her, her fellow recruits avoided her gaze. Some looked at her with sympathy, others with relief that it was not them. A few watched with a kind of cold curiosity, as if memorizing how humiliation looked so they could avoid it themselves. Minutes passed. The food on her tray grew cold, the steam fading. Finally, the sergeant's voice reached her again, quieter now but still carrying authority. Cadet Aisha. She stood once more. Yes, sir. You may eat. Yes, sir. She sat and picked up her spoon, hands steady now through sheer force of will. Each movement was precise, controlled. She took a small bite, chewing slowly, tasting almost nothing. The humiliation still clung to her like a second skin, but beneath it, something else was forming, solid, unyielding. She would remember this moment. Not as a breaking point, but as a test she had endured in silence.